In the 90s, D.C., which is pretty much turning into a gentrified city, wasn't what we see it now. Drugs sort of ripped out the core of the cities, and not only did you have a lot of parents that were missing due to being addicted to drugs, you had a lot of fathers that were missing due to incarceration rates or being locked up, and there's a ton of people out there that are using basketball to help these kids.
Curtis Malone helped me get to where I am today, you know, as far as in the basketball world and the influence that he had on me.
Everybody who you see in college basketball, everybody who you see in the NBA has at one time played for AAU teams. Curtis Malone was the guy who got them those players.
Beyond just what happened on the basketball court, he put a lot of personal time into making sure that as young men that they were taken care of. They might not have father figures. Curtis took that role on.
You know, we trusted him as a coach, and we knew that he had our back no matter what.
Here we have a leader in the community, and it's uncovered that this leader is a drug trafficker.
It didn't look like he was going to stop.
So AAU basketball is amateur basketball. It's everything leading up until college. So these kids nowadays, they start at probably age 5 and up. It starts in probably March, April. It goes through the end of July. Tournaments almost every single weekend. The kids are practicing 4 or 5 days a week. It's pretty intense, and at the level at which DC Assault was, the kids were practicing almost 7 days a week. You know, they were working hard for the one goal of winning the tournament in Las Vegas at the end of the summer.
You know, in the 90s and the 2000s, AAU was just starting to get centralized, where you were starting to get the best players from the best cities, from Kobe Bryant to Tracy McGrady to Stephon Marbury.
I was actually recruited by D.C. Assault. I was probably 13 years old. For me to be able to go link up and play with some guys over in Maryland and D.C., the exposure, you know, at these tournaments was unbelievable. I had college coaches being able to see me. I was able to get a 4-year scholarship to the University of Kentucky, you know, go on to play 12, 13 years in the NBA. Everybody knew who I was just from playing with Team Assault. Kurt, he just had such a positive impact on my life. Those guys would actually drive and come pick me up and make sure I got to practice. That alone let me know as a kid that, you know, they wanted me around. You know, my dad was there, but he wasn't. Curtis was that father figure to all of us. Some guys came from some of the toughest parts of D.C. Off the court, we had guys who got into trouble. He always gave positive reinforcements, and I knew he played a big part in their lives as well as mine, and showed us it was better things to do than just be hanging out. Those are memories that I could never forget.
Curtis was that father figure for so many kids, and he would do anything and everything just to make sure everyone was good. When I first met Curtis, it was strictly, he was Coach Curtis. He was the basketball coach that, you know, wanted us to play for his team. 2 years later, he asked my mom to marry him, so then he became Coach Curtis, the stephouse. He was always a tough coach and a tough critic, and me becoming his stepson and his love for me, he just became, you know, tougher on me. He held me more and more accountable to make sure I was, you know, reaching my full potential on the court and off the court.
Curtis would bring kids into the home that were, if a kid needed a place to stay, they were allowed to stay at our house. We lived in a 4-bedroom home. 1 bedroom had, you know, twin beds in it just because Mom removed the king-size bed because she knew there's someone else was gonna always need that extra bed. I seen Curtis buy one of his friends' wives all her Christmas gifts one year because he was out of a job. You know, that was just the type of person that he was. He was gonna make sure everyone was good and over and beyond. I was the only one who was pretty much in town. My mom was out of town in Atlanta on a girls' trip. And I go to the movies with my friends and I come home and there's cars like lined up and around the house. Before I can open my door to my car, the feds are at my door. I don't know what's going on. And so I'm just like, they're like, well, you're not allowed in the house and you can't go. The house is now a crime scene, basically.
We happened to be investigating another target, and through the course of that investigation, we uncovered that Vigil's source of supply was Curtis Malone. We worked on the case from 2012 to 2013.
Curtis Malone was heavily involved, and he was providing or sourcing approximately half kilo to a kilogram of cocaine and heroin. We started looking into Malone's habits, where he goes and who he's connected to. On the flip side, we found that he was communicating quite a bit with, known drug traffickers. He was the larger coordinator of distributing drugs. We were conducting electronic and physical surveillance of his organization, predominantly mainly looking at his residence. This is where he was conducting all of his business. He was a very popular individual in the community, so it was very strange. He would have guests in his house with drugs in there, but he would discuss AAU business. However, when he would have his co-conspirators for the drug trafficking organization come to his house, he would pull the drugs out and provide the customer base with drugs. He was sourcing it between California as well as Baltimore. Anywhere between 50 to 60,000 a kilo for heroin. So if he's wholesaling it, he's probably making 10,000 per kilo.
People knew that he was a drug dealer. They knew that he had money in his safe. What if one of those kids happened to be at Mr. Malone's house the day that somebody came to rob him in the drug business? This is a dangerous game.
From controlled purchases from the confidential sources working within the organization, we were able to conduct seizures directly related to Curtis Malone. We'd had enough evidence to go ahead and make the arrest. We decided to go ahead and do a traffic stop on him and arrest him. We were in possession of information saying that there was a good amount of drugs that was in his possession. We arrested Malone that evening in Southeast D.C. Thereafter, we obtained a search warrant for his residence. We found .40 caliber pistols, magazines, ammunition. We also found heroin in his basement.
Federal agents arrested Curtis Malone as a key suspect in a major drug operation. Pretty shocking news to many people in this neighborhood.
No, it never crossed my mind. To me, it was always Coach. I mean, we always called him Kurt, or we called him Coach. Like, there was no other thing that that I even knew about. So it was definitely shocking to me.
Curtis's arrest impacted the AAU world, but I think it impacted a lot of people on a personal level because, being a father figure, a mentor to a lot of these guys, they were sad to see that.
The media, when all the news came out about him being the drug lord and, he was a bad guy, he had these kids around drugs, and, for me, that wasn't the case. Obviously, it's not all good with him, for the people that really know him and knew the things that he was doing to keep kids off the streets, I feel like his good outweighs the little bit of bad that he did.
We did have the complaints and the overtures about Mr. Malone, his activity in the community, and being an upstanding citizen. Well, there was the other side. He basically supplied inner cities with drugs, part of the catalyst to poisoning the community that he served. That in itself is devastating.
He lied. He lied to the community and the people that he said he was trying to help.
I know how many kids he let down. I mean, I was good at the time, and I'm still good. But for me, when he let me down different ways. There was way more people that needed Curtis. Now those kids don't get that opportunity to do it like I did, and like Michael Beasley did, and like Jeff Green did, and so many other names.
I need to find this letter he wrote me. It was probably the first time I emotionally broke down after everything happened, where he basically was just saying, don't date a man like me, and, when you choose the man that you marry, X, Y, Z. And I don't know if it was soon after he was locked up, so I don't know if he was in the most clear thinking, But it broke my heart for a number of reasons. It was just like, yes, this happened, but you're a good man still. But it was just really, really hard for me to read someone that, you could tell he at that point he had broken himself.
The thing that bothered me the most was all the positive that this guy had done. Kind of helped me get to where I am today, as far as in the basketball world and the influence that he had on me. It was amazing to me how nothing, positive that he had done had been touched on. It was all just the negativity when you looked at the articles, and that kind of it didn't feel right.
All the stories we hear about, like as a kid coming up, is like Robin Hood, where you take from the rich to give to the poor. And if these allegations are true, that he was, taking finances from drug operations to help kids, it's the oldest story in the book.
I know he was bringing money. They say he's bringing X amount of dollars doing this, but okay, well, he made some bad decisions and bad choices for whatever reasons, but I'm still gonna look and keep this image of him that I wanna keep, and when he comes home, I'll talk to him about all those decisions, face to face.